Welcome back to Cinema Flicks and Music Picks. I'm Davey, your host with the most, the beast with the least. The least I can do today is say hello there. And let's have a look at this month's indicator releases. It's that wonderful time of the month where the postie knocks and drops them off. And I have seen all three before, or all four in this case, the films at least, if not these particular editions, and can talk with a tiny degree of authority about them. And if I don't talk with authority, that's never stopped people on the internet before, has it? First up is Don Siegel's 1968 film, Madigan, starring Richard Widmark as Detective Madigan and Henry Fonda. They are a bit old to be detectives at this point. They obviously haven't been terribly good because they're still on the beat. But yeah, this is very much a proto Dirty Harry. If you follow Don Siegel's career, you know that after this he would do Coogan's Bluff with Clint Eastwood, and then they would do the whole Dirty Harry cycle together. Obviously, Don Siegel would go on to even subvert the crime genre and take it from the other point of view with things like Charlie Varick, a world-class director. Started out as a bit of a journeyman, but was always an auteur at heart. Don Siegel, phenomenal. Madigan is very much not just a proto kind of Dirty Harry-like film, but also sets up that, there's Henry there looking rather old, is also very much a proto buddy cop kind of movie in a way, because you have all the hallmarks of that. The two bickering detectives who they often stumble over each other and they make things more difficult for themselves, only to be chewed out by the angry police chief when they get back to the station, that kind of thing. All those tropes are present here way back in the day. So you've got Richard Widmark as Madigan, who would go on to reprise the role in a TV show of the same name in the 70s. Henry Fonda as his partner, Anthony X. Russell. The X, I'm going to tell you what it stands for. Anger Stevens is Julia Madigan. But it's full of great character actors like Don Stroud and Warren Stevens, Bert Freed, and again directed by Don Siegel and written by Howard Rodman and Eamon Polonsky, who were both blacklisted screenwriters from the horrible period of the House of Un-American Activities Commission, but here they were able to make their comebacks, although Howard Rodman still had to use a pseudonym. So there you go, it tells the story there. The changing of the guard, it's very much, that almost looks like something from the French New Wave, doesn't it? It could be Breathless or something. It's very much this is the missing piece between your Dragnet-like cop things and your Dirty Harrys. It's very much the bridge between the two. So these pictures look as if they could come from earlier films, but this is very much pushing you in the direction of, if not as gritty as the French Connection, then certainly something as not as silly as Dirty Harry, but Dirty Harry is certainly more heightened. There's Richard Widmark there. It's a much more heightened reality, and that's what this is. It's very, very, very much the bridge between those two kind of eras of cop film. There's the great Lloyd Goff there at the top. It's just full of these. Wow. Frank Marth at the top there. So very much recommended if you like just the sound of those kind of movies that I've talked about. And you should do if you like Don Siegel. There's absolutely no reason you won't love this. And look at that for a reversible cover. Oh yes, that's getting switched. In fact, let's do that just now so I don't forget. Look at that. Let's give that its moment in the sun. Yeah. That's better. Oh yes. Yeah. Switcheroony. So Detective Madigan kept his eyes on the killer instead of the brood. I said the brood instead of the broad. That was an intentional pun, but you've not seen the film, so I'm not going to tell you why. Audio commentary with Barry Forshaw and Kim Newman. Yes, please. Richard Widmark interview for 8 minutes, obviously recorded way back when, because he's got the misfortune of being dead at the moment. Be a hell of a comeback. That's from 1983. A Super 8 cut down version Isolated music and effects. I love the Super 8 cut downs. Imagine just having an 8 to 10 minute silent version of this as your only way. But I guess it was the only thing you could do at the time. But wow, it's a different world, isn't it? It's a different world. I love that they include stuff like that kind of miscellany. It's just catnip to us film fans, isn't it? Oh boy, I'm excited for this. Oh yes, Robin Hood at Hammer, Two Tales from Sherwood Forest. So you've got Sword of Sherwood Forest and a challenge for Robin Hood. Two different, very different, even though they're 7 years apart and from the same studio, takes on the Robin Hood story. So it's one of their limited editions. I've got number 192 of 5,000. So a nice early number, which means I must now be an automatic millionaire. Let's have a look at the poster. As we know, a poster means it's now officially deluxe. So here's your poster, first of all, for a challenge for Robin Hood, with Barry Ingham there. And to turn it over, we have Sword of Sherwood Forest with Richard Green. So we'll do them in order. Sword of Sherwood Forest, Richard Green would have been synonymous for everyone watching this at the time with the role of Robin, because he was the ITV version of Robin, which was broadcast internationally and sold overseas. Should anyone remember, that's the one that has the Robin Hood, riding through the glen. Robin Hood, with his band of men, feared by the bad, loved by the good. Robin Hood, Robin Hood. Thank you. That's the one that has that theme. But this is not just a continuation of that. Richard Green is the only one to reprise his role. So Richard Green is cast as, well, everybody thinks he's Robin Hood, so let's get Richard Green in here, and he's great as Robin Hood. Much more of a classic adventure type take on Robin Hood, very much the goodies are great, the baddies are hiss boo kind of thing. Lots of stuff in here as well. Interview with Terence Fisher, 76 minutes recorded in 67. An audio commentary with Kim Newman and Barry Forshaw again. The interview with Sidney Cole, who was editor, writer and producer. Play again Richard Green, 23 minutes of Richard Green in the early 80s talking about his career. Dennis Lotus talks about this film for 4 minutes. The continuity supervisor, Pauline Wise, talks about it. Jonathan Rigby does an in-depth half-hour look at this specifically, rather than just general Robin Hood films and whatnot. That'll be on the next disc. And David Huckvale does an appreciation of Alan Hoddenot's score. David Huckvale's always fascinating to listen to, as are Kim Newman, as are Barry Forshaw, as are Jonathan Rigby. When they're talking Hammer, they all know their onions. Disc art for you there, but it's just the same. And then reversible cover, a challenge for Robin Hood. Has audio commentary with Kevin Lyons and Jonathan Rigby. So Jonathan is now doing the commentary rather than the documentary. I like they switch these things up. Listen to this. An onstage discussion, the Hammer Forum from 1971, with contributions from Michael Carreras, Peter Cushing, Terence Fisher, James Needs, Anthony Nelson Keys and Jimmy Sangster. For a Hammer fan, worth the price of admission alone, I dare say. Interview with C.M. Pennington Richards, who was a cinematographer and director of the day. John Jakolka, one of the actors, remembers making the film. Kim Newman, again, who was on the commentary, is now doing a documentary here, and he considers the many cinematic portrayals of Robin Hood over the years, which, good luck. Right up to, Russell Crowe was, that one where he was he from Yorkshire, was he from Scotland, was he from Ireland, was he from Australia, was he from New Zealand, was he from America? Better than Kevin Bloody Costner though, Bryan Adams. I can't tell you, not worth fighting for. You know it's true, everything I do it in double denim. And you even get a bonus film, Robin Hood Jr. with Keith Chegwin, one for the UK folks, as Robin Hood, a 61 Minutes Children Foundation film. If people outside the UK don't know who Keith Chegwin is, don't worry about it. You don't need to. He's a perfectly nice fellow, but yeah. And you even get a commentary on that by Vic Pratt, so comprehensive. I think so. Indicator just always knock it out of the park with the bonus features. Always. And rather excitingly, these are part of the Studio Canal deal with Indicator to do some Hammer releases. So hopefully that continues to bear fruit over the years. Although Sword of Sherwood was a Columbia, so that's Sony, but Challenge is owned by Studio Canal, so they're even able to kind of mix into sets now, which is a new development too, an exciting one. So quick look at the book here. So there we go. Yeah, what casts as well. Sword of Sherwood Forest, again, much more of a traditional adventure type Robin Hood, so much more of a kind of taking the Errol Flynn Robin Hood approach onto a more contemporary level, but not a million miles apart. So Richard Green, of course, is Robin. Peter Cushing is the Sheriff of Nottingham. Talk about casting. I will deal with these outlaws myself. Lots of great. And he's got this wonderful wig that's very much like Christopher Guest in The Princess Bride, actually. And Niall McGuinness plays Friar Tuck. Niall McGuinness, you might remember, it's one of my favourite roles in cinema and in horror cinema. He's Carswell in Night of the Demon, again, which also received a world-class Blu-ray from Indicator a few years ago. And more notable character actors down the cast list: Nigel Green, Charles Lamb, Dennis Lotus. It's directed by Terence Fisher, of course. So, wowee. A challenge for Robin Hood, much more of a revisionist take. So we're in 1967. So they're deconstructing the Robin mythos a little bit, not as much as some later versions would go on to do, but they're coming at it from a slightly more serious, who was this person? What were his real motivations? It wasn't as simple as let's go live in the forest because we die of hypothermia and rob some rich-looking people and give it to the poor. What were his actual motivations? So it goes into the kind of political machinations a little bit more, of the royal feuds and the Anglo-Saxon wars and whatnot, and robber barons and that kind of thing. So it's, although it does have a very romantic feel to it in the classical sense, it's a much more revisionist take than Sword of Sherwood. So you get two tales from Sherwood Forest, but two very different tales. So please don't feel like you're watching the same kind of film twice. It's very different. So you have Barry Ingham as a more down-to-earth Robin Hood. He's even given his French name, or his Anglo-Saxon name, Robin Gerard Depardieu. Off the top of my head. So they give him his proper name. Friar Tuck is played in this one by James Hayter, who anyone in the UK of a certain age would remember from things like, well, Blood and Satan's Claw for me. He's wonderful in that, in a small role. Are You Being Served? A million things. Very plummy, very big, boisterous, heavy man. But he was also the voice of Mr. Kipling Cakes. Oh, I do love some cake. He had a wonderful, just a very warm screen presence. And again, going down the cast list, just so many people who were just character actors de jour. Eric Wolff and Donald Pickering, and John Graham, Douglas Mitchell. Barry Ingham himself is a more grounded Robin Hood. He isn't the, it is I, you know. He's a more relatable, more real Robin Hood. And Barry, people would know, especially on this channel, if you're a Doctor Who fan, you would know from the screen version of Doctor Who and the Daleks, his Eldon, and on TV Doctor Who he is Paris, I think, in the Mythmakers and the William Hartnell era. Not that I'm a Doctor Who geek and know these things off the top of my head. And again directed by C.M. Pennington Richards, who is on the bonus features. So there you go, riding through the Glen, just like I sang beautifully a few minutes ago for you. So terrific booklet again. There's Barry Ingham there. You can almost tell it's a more down to earth Robin Hood, can't you? He doesn't look as over the top even. He's not wearing the green and whatnot. It's much more grounded. Here we go. There's James Hayter at the top. Oh, I would like to buy you some cake, Robin. And there's, you ready? Peter Cushing's wig. Now tell me that is not what Christopher Guest looks like in The Princess Bride. Yeah, come on. That's where they got that from. I will deal with this outlaw band myself. I just love Peter Cushing so much. Love him. Well, you know that if you're on here, I talk about Hammer enough. So, yeah, there's the band again. So everything's a bit more subdued. It's 67. Yeah, they're wearing a bit of green, but it's not over the top. They're having there's Alan Adale and stuff. Leon Green, Eric Flynn, and there's Richard Green looking very, very much the screen heartthrob there. So yeah, it was on CBS in America, if I remember. It's James Hayter. Yeah. Gosh, I could just go through this and just. So you see what I mean there. There's Richard Green is a more traditional adventure type Robin Hood. He was cracking on a little bit. He's probably pushing where you can really do that kind of story with a younger Robin Hood as the character before you move into the territory of Robin and Marion with Sean Connery and Audrey Hepburn, where it has to be from an older Robin's point of view. And look, there's a baby-faced Oliver Reed. Yeah. And, look, Peter Cushing. Again, would you not just think that was Christopher Guest? Seriously. It's no coincidence, I'm telling you. So I won't just go and show you the whole booklet, but my goodness, I could, because every still... Oh, look, right, I will show you this one, though. James Hayter, Richard... Oh, it's not quite cake, but it'll do. It does make exceedingly good cake. Again, if you don't know the Mr. Kipling adverts, none of this will mean anything to you. Again, with Indicator, they throw in some fun stuff here. So, colour in stuff from the periods where you can colour in your own Robin, spot the difference. And, a folding display unit that you can order for 30 shillings. A giant standee. Wow. Wow-wee. Wonderful stuff. And you even get the credits for Robin Hood Jr. with Keith Chegwin. That looks like your father smells of elderberries. I fart in your general direction. It's got Monty Python look there. So clearly this was a massive influence on the Pythons. No. But yeah. Just every time I see James Hayter, he makes me smile. I do love cake. I think I can identify with him so much because he loves his cake. So Sword of Sherwood Forest. Let's finish off today with a rather different film. Slightly more serious than James Hayter's Cake, and a masterpiece. 1968 again, just like Madigan. Burt Lancaster and the Swimmer, directed by the great Frank Perry, written by his wife, Eleanor Perry. And again, they had the pools, but he had their wives. I have number 169 of 5,000, so gosh, that must put me into Elon Musk territory. I might make a bid for Twitter later on with these early numbers that are just unloaded. Let's crack open. Again, deluxe, so poster. With one of the most famous taglines for cineasts. When you talk about the swimmer, well, you talk about yourself. Now, that might not mean much if you haven't seen the film, but boy, when you see the film, yeah. The famed John Cheever story appeared in the New Yorker and people talked. Now there will be talk again. When you sense this man's vibrations and share his colossal hang-ups, will you see someone you know or love? When you feel the body blow power of his broken dreams, will it reach you deep inside where it hurts? When you talk about the swimmer, will you talk about yourself? That's it there. So it's a very deep film. The pools may be shallow, but the emotions aren't. Thank you. Pun copyright 2022, David Gallagher. It's the story of Burt Lancaster as this middle-aged man, still in phenomenal shape, even though Burt was pushing on. I mean, it was only 12 years before Atlantic City where he would be an older man. But here we find him as this vibrant, vigorous man who kind of is almost mocking people that he knows for being, oh, you're just almost proto-yuppies, and life's for a living, and look at me, aren't I in great shape, and you're all just old fuddy-duddies now. And he travels home from one side of like the area to the other, going through every backyard so he can just swim through every pool. I know that sounds like a really bizarre little idea, but every single pool that he hits is almost like a layer of the onion being revealed into what's going on in his actual psyche. And there's some stunning direction here that does some visual storytelling to tell you, well, the decay of the character and what's really going on underneath it all. And Burt Lancaster, you can almost see him wither as the film goes on, and the houses become the way that Frank directs it, and the sets are designed and everything, each house becomes a little less vibrant, a little less welcoming, a little bit more confined even. He meets people along the way and people become less friendly, and we start to get a sense of almost dread. And I don't want to go into too much, because if you haven't seen The Swimmer, boy, see The Swimmer. Frank Perry's one of the most underrated directors of his era, and we had him last time, didn't we, on an indicator bundle with Diary of a Mad Housewife. Massively underrated director, massively underrated, and I'm glad that Indicator are doing him such justice these days. There's Burt in one of his happier moments towards the start, where he's kind of, thinks he's full of vim and vigour and piss and vinegar, and still very much, defying his years. A perfect choice for that, because he is middle-aged, but has a great physique, and you could believe that he is this kind of fitness fanatic, and is still very much attractive to people along his journey. And I don't want to go into too much of where it goes, because it's a wonderful film in terms of gradually revealing itself, and there's a lot of kind of visual metaphors for what goes on. There's Frank Perry with Barbara Loden there. It's a wonderful performance that really showed, and his 70s work does as well, that Burt Lancaster was not interested in playing the Hollywood game. He would do it to keep himself in mansions, but more often than not he would find these oddball little independent films to do, which were just much more interesting to him. And that had been part of his career, going right back to his production company, where he produced and starred in Sweet Smell of Success in '57. There's Frank and Burt talking on set. Wow. For this one, there's Frank Perry looking great there. It almost looks like Ed Wood. I don't say this terribly often, but please just take my word on it if you think that you like even the sounds of it, because I don't want to go into too much about the ending of that. But if you like the sound of a midlife crisis movie with a man's psyche being visually represented, and just enjoy Burt Lancaster, and very much a proto indie movie in the kind of small stakes, but still has a big star in it, then this is just essential for you. From 4K scan, audio commentary with Justin Bozung, who does the who literally wrote the book on Frank Perry, Marge Champion on The Swimmer, an on-stage interview with the actor Marge Champion, conducted at the TCM Festival in 2013 after a screening of it. Richard Ayoade, Moss from the IT crowd for some still, he talks about it, the unique genius of the Perry's film. He talks about that for 11 minutes. That's cool. John Cheever reads his original New Yorker short story, so you get that in full, 26 minutes long. Title sequence outtakes, it's got a great title sequence as well. TV spots, the trailer from Hell commentary by Eliana Douglas, so it's interesting to see that from a feminine point of view as well, because it is quite a takedown of masculinity in places, this film. Well, a lot of places. Subtitles, 80-page book, limited edition, 5,000, blah, 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 blah. Again, just... The Swimmer. Come on, please. I can recommend, because I've seen them, I can recommend the entirety of this month's output, but just to kind of reiterate, if you like buddy cop movies, and you like earlier cop movies, and you like the Dirty Harry cycle and Coogan's Bluff, this fits in the middle of that kind of Venn diagram. In the middle. So, very much recommended. And it's Henry Fonda and Richard Widmark being directed by Don Siegel. I think you're in safe hands with that kind of talent. Robin Hoods. Yes. If you like the Robin Hood films, if you like those kind of adventure stories, first of all, you will love the Richard Green one, Sword of Sherwood Forest, but you will also enjoy the deconstructionist take from '67 in A Challenge for Robin Hood, because it's not too deconstructionist as to be jarring with putting it in with Richard Green. It's still very much it's still an adventure, but it's just got a lot more pathos and context. So, yeah, highly recommended if you like those. And again, if you like The Swimmer, if you like New Hollywood, that kind of New Hollywood, Easy Rider, Raging Bulls generation, even though this was before Easy Rider, if you like that kind of adult take, even though it's only a PG, it's a very adult film thematically and whatnot, so although it's a PG, probably not one the kids are going to be too bothered about. They're not going to take this over, I don't know, some Pixar movie or something, but well, maybe they will if they've good taste. I did. So I highly recommended if you like this kind of take on the American psyche. So just like last month with Diary of a Mad Housewife, deconstructing what American femininity meant at the turn of the 60s into the 70s. This kind of does the same with middle-aged men. What's their role in this new America? So, yeah. Oh, a half-hour take just on 4 films, but because I've seen them all, I could review them at the same time, so it isn't just an unboxing. Hope this was a little bit informative. Hope it wasn't too dull for you. If it was, you could have just turned it off. You didn't need to wait till the end. I love you though. Comments, suggestions, queries, complaints, stick them in the comments if you like. Yeah, I'll see you soon. I'm going to stick a couple of things in the comments about my recent activities, not the criminal ones, I'm keeping those to myself, just where I've been and whatnot. Specifically, I'll put in Zero the Hero, something Ryan Gavalier from Ryan's Final Destination and myself have been working terribly hard on, a new series that we're doing on Ryan's channel. I'll put in a link to a video I'm very proud that we got to make about the Raspberries debut album, power pop masterpiece, self-titled, just Raspberries. That's on Grant's channel, Grants Rock Warehaus. I'll put a link to that. And last night I was on Sea of Tranquility, talking in the Monsters Den about the Spiral Staircase from 1946. So I'll put a link to that as well. So yeah, see, I'm always about, I may not be here, but I'm always out there somewhere, one step ahead of you, but always right at your back. Folks, stay very safe out there, right? Very safe. Love and mercy, my dear. Love and mercy.